Have you ever, like, been talking to someone and you just know they're not really listening? Or maybe you're the one spacing out mid-conversation.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It happens to everyone.
Right. It's like communication 101, but somehow it always seems to trip us up.
It really does.
So today we're going to deep dive into this very human struggle and using two French poems as our, like, guideposts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we've got Les difficultés one, parler, which means difficulties one, speaking.
Got it.
And then les difficultés two, écouter, meaning the difficulties two, listening.
Two sides of the same coin. I like that.
Exactly.
What's so cool about poetry is like how it just boils down these huge, messy emotions into such powerful, concise language.
Right.
Even if we don't know the author or like the historical background or anything, these poems give us this awesome lens for looking at communication,
Totally. So let's jump into the first one. Les difficultés one, parler. Okay, so right away, you get this super intense feeling of someone trying to speak, but there's all this silence, tension, even melodrama around them. Like, so words are almost like stuck. Have you felt that way? Like the air is just thick with stuff that's not being said.
100%. And the poem really drives that feeling home by repeating, puis-je te parler, over and over.
Yeah.
Can I speak to you? Almost like a desperate plea. It highlights how badly the speaker wants to be heard. You know? Like they really need to be acknowledged.
Yeah. Like we all have this deep down fear of being invisible.
Totally.
Going unnoticed.
Right.
And then the poem gets even more personal with the line, puis-je te parler sans que tu me tournes le dos.
Ooh.
So that's, can I speak to you without you turning your back on me?
Wow.
It's not just about having our voices heard, right? It's about being respected. Like genuinely acknowledged. I think we've all been there when someone just blows us off.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Super hurtful.
And that vulnerability is like explored even more in the next line. Puis-je te parler sans que tu en changes le sens?
Oh, that's a good one.
So it's, can I speak to you without you changing the meaning? Like, think about it. You pour your heart out, sharing your deepest thoughts.
Right.
And you always run the risk of them being, like, misinterpreted or even twisted.
Yeah.
It's such a delicate balance between expressing yourself and protecting yourself.
Totally. We're constantly walking that tightrope in every single conversation.
Right.
And then it all builds up to this, like, this cry in the poem. Mes enfants, puis-je te parler?
Ooh.
So that's, but finally, can I speak to you? It's raw. It's desperate.
It's almost primal.
Yes.
Like a scream for connection.
Right.
Really captures how much we all crave that true understanding to like bridge the gap between us.
It's so true. So,
Yeah.
okay, we've delved into like the speaker's struggles, but now let's flip the script and see what the listener is dealing with.
Okay, yeah.
Let's look at les difficultés du. This one jumps right in with the listener and keeps asking this question. M'écoutes-tu?
Meaning
Are you listening to me?
over and over.
It's almost accusatory,
Yeah, I see that.
challenging the listener. And then it goes on to paint these like super vivid pictures of someone not paying attention.
Okay.
Headphones in, engrossed in a book, even falling asleep,
That's great.
right? It's so relatable.
It is.
I mean, how many times have you been caught zoning out during a convo? Be honest.
More times than I'd like to admit, probably.
Me too. But it's interesting because these like everyday distractions actually point to a bigger issue, our shrinking attention spans.
Oh, absolutely. We're just bombarded with information these days, constantly connected.
Right.
It's hard to not get distracted. So the poem isn't just about listening. It's about being truly present, giving someone your undivided attention.
Which is like a rare commodity these days.
It really is.
And this poem totally flips the power dynamic from the first one.
Right.
Well, the first poem was all about the speaker pleading to be heard, begging for attention. But here, the listener is put in the hot seat.
Oh, I see.
They're forced to confront their role in the whole exchange.
That makes sense. It really highlights how much responsibility we have as listeners to actively participate in the conversation, to really try and understand what the other person is saying.
Yeah. And just like the first poem, this one ends with this really powerful plea. Mais enfin, veux-tu bien m'écouter?
Okay, and that means?
But finally, will you please listen to me?
Yeah.
That same frustration, that need to be validated, it all comes full circle.
It does. It's fascinating how both poems explore these, like, universal themes of communication from such different perspectives. Like you're saying, we've all been on both sides of this.
Exactly. And what strikes me is how universal these themes are. We may be looking at French poetry, But these poems, they go beyond language. They tap into something deeply human, the desire to connect, to be understood.
It reminds us that communication isn't just about words, but about empathy, about meeting in the middle and making a real effort
Yes, to move past just hearing the words and actually listen.
to recognize how vulnerable we are, both when we speak up and when we truly listen.
Yeah. And remember, communication is two-way street. It's about working together to build understanding and create meaning.
Absolutely.
So as you go about your day today, think about these poems. Are you really present in your conversations? Are you truly listening? Are you giving others the space to be heard? Just something to chew on.
I like that. Something to chew on.